Hello again, my Immortal Nerds. It's time to claim the S tier badge again for our Barbarian in PvE content. A build with fire, ice and poison is waiting for you that is all-roundish and let you rule over sea dungeons, open world farm, terror rifts, abyssal runs, endless defense and fast tower grinds. This build is amazing and you have to try it out, trust me. With an update in early March, the Diablo Immortal devs fixed an essence which boosted the sunder skill extremely and made this build now very effective. So what are we talking about? The Hydras Maws. This heavy damage passive shoulder is rocking like hell. Combined with Sprint's Snowdrifter, you get super fast and profit from all damage buffs against loss of control. And now with a change to the main dot resolve mechanic from Angmit to Banquet, this build turns into a powerhouse. We have the new way of PvE Barbarian in here, of course, with whirling howl helmet for many demo hits that firestorms. We have Iron Tusk for getting even more crit chance and Lion's Mane to resolve our Banquet. So why is it working so good? Because of the 0.5 second reapplying of the Banquet dot with the burn of our sundered legacy. We move faster and proc the resolve from demo more often with a helmet, reapplying the Banquet and resolving it again. So instead of many dots, we switch tactics to push that one dot to the limit with damage gems. But that's not all. Instead of the small gem dots that can be applied just once, Banquet can be reapplied like the Angmits, but deals 6 times the damage. Overall, in all tests, the Banquet lead to a 30% higher damage output than with the Angmit set. This is pretty huge. And while looking at the Paragon tree, you will see the magic key to this build. The contagion can spread our heavy dot. So we get a massive damage output with all of the resolving and reapplying, or even better calling it multiplying, of the Banquet dot. The only dot gem itself that might be useful in here is the bile. It has a similar spreading mechanic, still it can be resolved multiple times. So just once, but improving the damage. This changes our set enchantments a bit too. All of those skills go to a 100% uptime with a 2-piece Vithus very fast. This means you can switch from the cooldown reduction on the sets to damage versus loss of control for the hands, or the damage increase to enemies under 30% life on the rings. It's another nice boost to this build. Enough explanations, let's look at the build. Essences are, we start with the skills. Lacerate, we nearly don't use it, but you can have it equipped. Frenzy, it's good as well to have that ultimate while moving. Sprint, for that we have the Snowdrifter to give us the passive. We have the Sunder with the Hydras Maws to give us that great effect of the fire pit. Then we have Wrath with the sundered legacy for reapplying the dot. We have demoralize, biggest skill here with the whirling howl to give us a wind damage and that permanent knocks. We have the Lion's Mane for resolving, Iron Tusk for crit chance, and Promised Sunrise for additional movement attack speed and making that all more fluid. Chest, biggest part. Why did we equip the broken ire? It says it's not working with that shoulder. It's grayed out even in the skill text, but don't get confused with that. When you have an awakened slot on your chest, you still get a 10% cooldown reduction on that skill. And in addition, the tests lead to the result that the 9% stacking 3% 3 times of that chest gets still applied, even if you don't do primary attacks. So it boosts the damage of our Sunder. Next, gems, damage gems, of course, we go with the Berserkers, the Fang, Pain Class, Jade, everything that produces a damage Morn Skull and so on. The Bile could be nice, and another thing that is really cool is the Wolf Heart, because you have so many damage and damage ticks from dots and from that passive Sunder that it's worth it to equip the Wolf Heart. Think about it. Pick the Slayer as a paragon for the 10% dot damage improvement and the spreading effect, which is a key point. And honestly, go for shields instead of reducing the attack speed of the enemy to make you more tanky. Terror gear should be focused on the Wrath of the Berserker AoE, and for maxing PvE damage, pick Vengeance Reforge with the damage to loss of control and damage to demons. So for variants, as every one of you is on a different level and likes different styles, there are some important changes to mention. Of course, the Whirlwind variant is there. You can check it out in one of my latest videos here. Yes, very good damage output, but too slow. The speed is important to generate procs from the helmet and the shoulder, and whirling slows the movement heavily. But there are other good variants. So, if you need more damage, you can switch the sprint to chain spears. The movement is still faster than whirling, and you get the pull from the chains and a 20% damage output buff. The chains will slow the enemies, so the loss of control will still be in place. If you are dying too often, especially for fully free to play or tough content or anything like this, stick to the chains, but switch the promised sunrise from the demoralize with the steel lamprey to give you a solid life leech. This will be relevant for any upcoming Vanguard modes. And, of course, for using this build in any variation for challenge rifts. With that variations, I'm sure you will enjoy this PvE meta build for our best class, the Barbarian, as much as I do. It still lacks some solo target DPS, but for the content we are looking here at, I mean, it's still fine. 5 million DPS aroundish, boys, that's still relevant, that's still good, and you slay the mobs like crazy. Thanks again to Amazon, who did a lot of testing with different sets, gems and essences here. Thanks buddy for your support and all of that input. I hope you all enjoyed this video, so stay fresh and enjoy this game. See you soon.